WXCO 98.9, Wausau's real news and great conversation. Here's your Daily News Roundup.
For WXCO News, I'm Isabella Nieto. Wausau is outpacing other municipalities in replacing lead water service lines, just 2 years into a 5-year plan to replace all privately owned lead water pipes in the city. In a presentation to the City Council on Tuesday, Sean Agid with Community Infrastructure Partners said Wausau is setting an example nationwide.
In year one, we started construction in July 2024. We replaced 605 lines. This year, we were able to start in April, and we've replaced 1,534. So collectively, that's over 2,100 lines to date.
Agid said Wausau's speedy replacement project has helped the city secure funding to continue replacing lead service lines and has encouraged owners to work with the city to get their service lines replaced.
We are maintaining a greater than 96% consent rate. This is a voluntary program. There's no mandate that property owners have to buy in, which is also a very impressive metric nationwide. A lot of other programs are around 60%.
Agid said the State Department of Natural Resources granted the city additional dollars to continue replacing lead service lines.
Because other communities throughout Wisconsin were underspending their funding awards, so they couldn't replace as much lines as they had hoped. So there was an extra $1 million that DNR said, if Wausau has the capacity, feel free to take the money.
He also said they're on track to maintain their rate of progress and will secure funding from the state to do so.
And we have about 1,000 right of entry agreements secured for 2026.
Governor Tony Evers announced Wednesday nearly $160 million in statewide financial assistance aimed at helping municipalities speed up their lead pipe replacement work. Wausau is set to receive over $16 million in funding in 2026. Wisconsin is a swing state. Both Democrats and Republicans have a reasonable shot at winning an election, and those elections are closely monitored. Melissa Kay has more.
Representative Scott Krug has served on the Assembly Committee on Campaigns and Elections for the past 3 years. This year, as vice chair, he's working across both sides of the aisle to improve voting in the state.
My whole goal has been to find bipartisan wins on elections that the legislature can pass, that the governor will sign.
Krug says in previous elections, there were things that people thought happened that simply didn't.
It's been a huge project for me to undertake, trying to get all of the consternation, all the misinformation, all the craziness that's around almost every election in not only just locally, statewide, but across the country.
Early processing for absentee ballots is high on Krug's agenda.
The conjecture going around what early processing is versus what people think it does is the biggest bugaboo to try to get over in Wisconsin elections. As 90% of the problem is that just late night reporting, because there's so many absentee voters, causes so much consternation.
43 other states in the U.S. allow early processing at some level, according to a 2024 analysis from the Center for Election Innovation and Research. However, no votes are counted until Election Day.
And then after the machine tabulates everything, you got to go through all the seals and all the protections in the machine, open it all the way up into the interior, and push the count button.
Krug said minimum hours for in-person early voting passed the state assembly by a voice vote.
Those are the things I love to find is, a way we can get a bill across the finish line that nobody votes against, and that can help expand access for people to vote in the state of Wisconsin.
Another candidate has entered the crowded Democratic field for governor. Joel Brennan announced his campaign yesterday. He's currently president of the Greater Milwaukee Committee, previously headed up the Discovery World in Milwaukee, and served for 3 years as a cabinet secretary under Governor Evers. Brennan worked for 3 years as secretary of the Department of Administration. He was one of Evers' only cabinet appointees who got some support from Republicans. He joins a long list of Democratic candidates, most recently former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, who announced his bid last week. The Marathon County Sheriff's Office is partnering with several area police departments and the U.S. Department of Transportation's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to promote their Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign. It's aimed at stopping impaired driving. According to State Department of Transportation data, Marathon County is above the state average of people killed by an impaired driver, with the state average being 30% of all persons killed on highways by an impaired driver. Marathon County is at 42%. Drivers should be safe during this winter holiday season by planning ahead if they intend to drink, and should secure a designated sober driver or call a taxi or rideshare for a sober ride home. The Marathon County Historical Society is hosting their first Historic Holiday Homes of Wausau tour this weekend. The self-guided tour features several historical homes staffed with trained Dawsons and volunteers who will share the history and architectural significance of the property. For a full list of historical homes on the tour, visit the Marathon County Historical Society website. Tickets for the tour are $50 per person, and attendees are able to tour homes from 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday. I'm Isabella Nieto for WXCO News.
A win for the Bucks. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. NBA, the Bucks with a much-needed victory, 116-101 over the Boston Celtics at Fiserv Forum. Milwaukee's Kyle Kuzma with a season-high 31 points. Doc Rivers says the adjustments they worked on in practice this week leading up to the game worked.
One of the things we talked to you guys about going in the break was correcting our spacing. I thought we had room tonight. Guys wasn't in the wrong spots. When a guard drove, he knew where the other guy was at. I thought we played a very organized basketball game tonight.
NFL, the Packers fly to Denver tomorrow to play the Broncos Sunday afternoon at 3:25. Denver tied for first place in the AFC with a record of 11-2. How has Denver been able to win so many close games with a young quarterback like Bo Nix?
9 of the 11 games, they've come back in the fourth quarter, and so I think that obviously, deservingly so, he gets a ton of credit for that. And then the defense and special teams, I mean, it's a really good football team.
That's Packers head coach Matt LaFleur with Sports on Mike Clemens.
Cloudy today, becoming breezy with some light snow. It won't be a lot, less than an inch of accumulation, but it's going to get cold with falling temperatures into the single digits by late afternoon to early evening. Tonight, partly cloudy, down to around 12 to 15 below zero. Tomorrow, sunshine with a high of only 2 below.
That's your Wausau News Roundup from WXCO. Find more news anytime at WXCO.FM. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts.